Welcome to Sandbox FOMO5 from Bureau Happold. Each week, we pick short snippets from our most recent episode for your listening pleasure. These quick listens could be valuable insights, thought-provoking elements, or even practical advice that will no doubt enrich your life and knowledge. Currently, only 40% of electricity is produced from renewables. Based on current predictions as well, the best case scenario for the planet is 50 to 100 years. What are we doing right now, and how are things changing? Is hydrogen the answer? And if not, what is?
I think the answer is not one source of energy. It is going to be a combination of sources and technologies that is going to get us to where we are planning to get to in 50 to 100 years. We're going to need solar, we're going to need wind and hydrogen to some extent. And for each industry, different kind of resources. For example, in my house, we've got 9 solar panels, which if you're not using it, it feeds into the grid. So the grid gets the green energy. But what I have done is utilizing that energy to heat up the water as a priority and then use it. And if not, I'll give it back to the grid.
That must be an incredibly satisfying thing. I've got a friend who's just got solar panels and they're obsessed. They've got an app that shows them how much energy they're using. And it's like staring at a lava lamp. They're obsessed with it. That's a fascinating thing.
I think we all need to educate ourselves better to understand the difference that we can make to change the course, and that needs collective effort from everyone. I invested in a heat pump instead of a boiler. It was a choice which was very hard and financially difficult, but it was a priority because I understand the difference that it makes. And when we look at where we are, compare where we need to be, individual heat pump uptake in UK is about 1% currently, which we need to be 10% by 2030. And I don't think there is enough information or support around these topics. When I saw how much less energy I'm actually using compared to gas because of the heat pump efficiency, it was very satisfying.
And I think, aside from Maddie's point around the heat pumps, which is a very relevant one, EVs is another one. So I live on a terrace street opposite a school. So first of all, I'm lucky if I can park within half a mile of my house. And second of all, if I'm chasing cables across the pavements, that's not a great thing to do. I don't think that's a school. So there are problems like that where I think the technology probably needs to get there. It needs to improve. But of course, I think we've got to remember that this is a relatively new thing. You know, we all had petrol cars and we all had gas-fired boilers 20 years ago. Heat pumps in electric vehicles weren't even a thing, and that's not long ago at all. So these things will all improve. You know, the electricity density of a battery will improve several-fold over the next 10, 20 years. And that range anxiety will become addressed through the technology. Will improve our electrical infrastructure. So more houses will have, or pavements, for example, will have electrical posts to be able to charge your EV cars more conveniently. So we've just got to be conscious that we're at the beginning of the journeys of some of those technologies, and we just need to keep faith and not get that kind of fatigue of those technologies which are put in front of us, because they will get better.
I grew up watching Star Trek and things like that. I mean, I'm still waiting for my jetpack, being able to fly around everywhere. That's what I was promised as a kid watching TV. But seriously, I mean, I think that the energy future that I fantasize about is one where energy is largely generated locally, as little waste as possible, different kinds of solutions for different places, and crucially getting there in ways that aren't disruptive, to go back to that again, that don't require too much change, that seem achievable to anybody, to all individuals at any particular times. So different kinds of energy production, depending where you are, what works, what doesn't work, rather than an insistence on kind of global networks of power. We can only create equitable energy futures ourselves for ourselves.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick dip into our last episode of Sandbox. Don't forget to subscribe to follow the show. You'll find Sandbox in all the usual places. If you want to join the conversation on social media, just use #BHSandbox. We'd love to receive your thoughts or feedback, but also any other subjects you'd like to hear discussed in the future on Sandbox.